So in addition to behavioral changes with the students, we did find that, or the studies found that there was an increase in knowledge about nutrition and health and local foods and agriculture and environment and gardening, and that was because many of these programs all had a food and nutrition education component that went along with them. And farm to school may lead to some positive attitude changes about eating new and healthy foods, but many fewer studies looked at that. Now, the one thing that we don't feel comfortable claiming is that there is a definite change in weight or BMI as a result of farm to school programs. That is something that we'd like to see, and we'd like to see it as a health outcome, but as yet, there's not real strong evidence to show that there's something there. Now, teachers and administrators all participate in farm to school programs as well. A few studies looked at this. There may be some positive teacher and administrator participation in school lunch as a result, but not 100%. And with food service, farm to school programs lead to an initial increase in purchasing farm fresh foods and incorporating that into menus. When programs were monitored across, let's say, 6, 8, 10 years, sometimes the amount purchased may not stay as high as it did initially. And another one of our food service cook camps here, we're really trying to keep that up. With farmer changes, and this is different across the board, that farm to school does lead to some modest changes in farmer income. Generally, and this is a lot of work that comes from what Jerry and I have done with interviewing farmers, it doesn't represent a large part of income for many farmers, although in almost all cases, farmers were very positive and enthusiastic about their participation in the farm to school program and found that it did lead to other marketing opportunities for them. And because they just felt that it was a good thing to do. With parents, a farm to school may lead to positive parental changes in food purchasing behavior and grocery shopping and cooking at home and telling their kids about the importance of healthy foods. But again, very few studies with parents on what happens in the home over a long period of time as a result of farm to school programs. Now, we also looked more generally at these studies to try to say what are some of the key factors that are responsible for some of these positive changes that we see in programs. And the studies came up again and again, and we have found from our own experience that one of the key things is leadership. If you've got strong leaders that are committed to making this kind of thing happen in a school district, it's much more likely to succeed. And those leaders are making use of complementary partnerships. Yesterday there was discussion about having a wide range of partners across the food system. So within food service, in the community, Department of Education, Department of Agriculture, many and varied partners really make a successful program. And these people make creative and resourceful use of their assets. Those are financial assets, social assets, and the physical ambiance and environment in the school environment. So those things we felt were really important to point out. Now, there's also the issue of cost. I think it came out once yesterday. That is a barrier in many cases. And the question is, who should pay? Unfortunately, right now, farm to school programs are sort of in the operational part of the budget in many school districts, as opposed to the educational part of the budget, which seems to get a lot more attention. So this is one of the reasons we feel we need more and robust farm to school research to continue to make a case for why, if there is extra cost to these farm to school programs, and often there is, why it's important to invest in our children and who needs to be part of that investment strategy. So I'm sure that's what some of the policy work is about as well. So what are some of the future research needs? And I'm just going to point out a few that came out of reviewing these research studies, and then later we're going to invite you to add some additional ideas of your own, because I know many of you have been working in this area for some time. One of the things that we found is there's very little research on is food service workers and farm-to-school directors, and we found them to be gatekeepers of much of this work, and both from the educational point of view and from the operational point of view, and making sure it happened, yet there's very little research that's directed at their decision making. Likewise, the role of teachers as models for school children in whether it be garden-based or eating habits, we felt could be a significant area to have more research. And then what about the factors that lead to sustained high participation in farm-to-school? There's a number of things. Is it school gardens? Is it what's being offered in the cafeteria? Is it the farm tours? Is it the nutrition education, or some unique combination of those things? And I was talking to Nancy yesterday about health outcomes. That's one thing we really need more research on, the relationship of farm to school to health outcomes. Plate waste studies. We've done a little bit on plate waste. It's very time consuming. I know there's other data out there too, but we need it to be related to farm to school projects. We would love to have more research on farmers, and Jim, I'm sure you can suggest even additional research that would be useful. What kinds of decisions are farmers making? Are they planting differently as a result of farm to school programs? Are there other things that we should know about the supply side of this whole thing? And then that brings me to another thing in a discussion with Nancy too. I understand here in Oregon, there's a lot more processing that is part of the whole farm-to-school equation, and we really need some research about the processing. What makes for successful processing facilities that then can connect with farm-to-school programs? What about the role of policy and its impact? Does it really, if you have a policy, do we know that then that translates to more successful farm-to-school programs? We should get some data on that. And then what about communities? What's the impact of farm to school on our communities, community development, and then vice versa with farm to school? Now, one area that I just wanted to mention briefly is that many of us are part of small to mid-scale to large mid-scale farm to school programs, but there is work now going on with large urban school districts that are greater than 40,000 up to 2 million kids. It's being done by Tony LaCourie, led by Tony LaCourie, Teachers College and Michigan State University, and Jerry and I are part of that evaluation team. They're looking at what kind of changes in the procurement structure might happen as these large urban school districts start to slowly move towards bringing more healthy foods into their cafeterias. What does it take? What makes it work? What kind of distribution systems are necessary? What kind of education is necessary? And information, and then the policy that goes along with that. So we'll be happy to keep you abreast of what's going on in that arena.